Oh, well. You guys having tea? Okay, how many of you here think that Confucius liked Nanzi? How many of you here think Confucius did not like Nanzi? Or Nanzi? How do you say her name? Nanzi. Not Nanzi. Nanzi. See, I hate the A-N final, because I never know if it's on or am. Nan. Okay. How many of you think that he did not like Nanzi? Let's start with the did not like. Evidence, argument.
Pretty much all she wants is power and wealth. And
Evidence? Okay, so all she wants is power and power. Is that power and money. Okay, and so Confucius does not like her. Okay. Responses to this. There's a hands up. I want a response to that. Who else thinks that he doesn't like her? I saw another hand. I saw more than one hand. He doesn't like her. Okay, HK.
I think it's more of like a crush and respect, because he knows that she's really clever, but she doesn't really approve of her. Now she doesn't respect society.
She doesn't practice propriety. She's immoral. She's immoral. How is she immoral? Listen, guys, listen. I want this to be a conversation, not I'll wait till he shuts up and then I'll say something. Listen to what he's saying. Because of her reputation, she's immoral. Say more. Responses to that?
Well, I think that he liked her in the sense that he understood that you were kind of more or less being seduced by her, because he says near the end where she will be coming back, he says he won't, for the reason that he's never known a man who can't put lasciviousness, or who can't put principle before lasciviousness.
Lasciviousness? Lasciviousness, lust, yeah.
So that implied that he understood that he was like kind of following for her and didn't think that was right.
How many of you think he loved her? Are you raising your hand because I raised my hand? Claim and evidence.
Well, like exactly reason. I think he felt in a way like he felt lust towards her.
Lust and love. I want to bang her versus I want to marry her. I said love, not lust. Pardon my French, but lust is a vulgar thing. It's an animal instinct. Bang is a great. I said love, not lust. Here's my claim. What's the first image we saw of her? Reading. She's reading. What's she reading? How do we know she's probably reading poetry? Because she taught the Shijing, a Confucian classic. She can quote the songs, the very songs that Confucius himself quoted and loved. Is she a bad woman? What evidence do we have that she actually appreciates Confucius and his vision and his way, his Tao?
She wanted him to teach.
She wanted him to teach her, their son, the Crown Prince. The old man was constantly laughing at Confucius, saying, "Okay, so you got some spillage, just keep focused." The old man was saying, "He's a bookworm, he's a goofball. whatever. But honey, if you want him, sure, right, to make you happy. But she is the whole time saying, he is wise. Let's let him teach our son. He's a good man. He's what we need. And then when she does seem to come on to him, does she not? I mean, it's the most seductive thing in the world. When she walks around him in that silk thing, I mean, she is just dressed to the 10s, not the 9s. It's just like, oh my God, drop dead gorgeous. And she walks around him in that silk dress, just like, draped all the way around his body, and Confucius is just sitting there like, and then she sits in front of him and she keeps leaning forward into his face and his eyes are just going down, control, control. And every time she makes an advance, he blocks her. No, you can study with this young student who I just had. He's brilliant. You'd be great together. Not me. Blocks her. And then she says, will you stay? And he says, no. And she goes, why not? It wouldn't be convenient. Why not? Because I've never known a man who loved virtue more than sex. And then she stands up, and what does she say? She says, many people know how hard you are, how hard your life is, but few know how deep your suffering is. And then she goes down and she does the kowtow. And I think that he is, why does he leave? Notice, every time she leans towards him to try to seduce him, he does block her. And she backs up and she lets him block her. So why does he leave? Because he's afraid that he won't be able to control himself. Because he can block her and she will let herself be blocked, but he's afraid that he's not going to be able. I think that I've never met a man who loved virtue more than sex. I think he was saying, you are so attractive to me because you are elegant. You are ritually proper. She does that kowtow at the end. She does that kowtow at the end beautifully. And she does the whole, right? She is ritually proper. And so he leaves. I think it's one of those tragic and beautiful scenes out there. Come on, don't do this to me. Okay, very quickly. These guys. What do they tell? Remember, they're like, hey, farmers, how do you get to so-and-so? Do you remember what they do? Thank you, woman.
I think they were saying that.
And then they say, Zulu, what you should do is stay here and farm. This is another group of philosophers, believe it or not, the youngest. We won't have time to go into them, but if you are in the age of Chinese philosophy, one group's response was this: be primitive, just go back to farming. Let the lords, let the elites, let everybody just destroy each other. If you are just out in the countryside farming, they don't know you exist and you're safe. Young, well, Y-A-N-G, the youngest. They're starved. Now, very quickly, please write this down. Please write this down quickly. Junzi, J-U-N-Z, hi, Junzi. Junzi, I hate that U sound. It's the Chinese word for gentleman. Now, in the age of the Western Joe, king, lord, official, minister. I'm sorry, king, lord, minister, official. Which one of those groups, classes, were not hereditary? Trick question. All of them were hereditary. I told you this last time. It's a very important point. All four of those, king, lord appoints ministers, they die, their sons get the job. Ministers appoint officials, they die, their sons get the job. It was all aristocratic, all inherited. Why do I have this job? Because daddy. Why do you have it? Because daddy. This term of gentleman, a gentleman, which by definition meant an aristocrat, was expected to be master of these, what were called 6 arts. Write these 6 arts down. You're going to be weekly writing, including this week, about things that you'd like to think more about. This is a fascinating thing. The 6 arts are, you've already seen Confucius do calligraphy when his wife did the ink for him, and then he penned that thing on the bamboo. Calligraphy is one. Archery. You've seen Confucius playing with the bow. Musicianship. You see Confucius playing the guqin, the stringed instrument. So the guy was a musician. He was a guitarist, right, so to speak. Notice the change here now. Do you agree with me that calligraphy, archery, and musicianship all require a similar Character trait? What character traits do all three of those, mastery of all three of those require? Using your fingers and hands. Well, so does picking your nose. Discipline, thank you. Discipline, for starters. Because you don't master an instrument if you don't have discipline. You don't master a brush, and you don't master a bow, an arrow, hitting a target 100 meters away without it. Besides discipline, what else? Yeah, Hanson. Money? Yeah, because a pen and ink, or a brush and ink is just so expensive. Only people that can afford a Lexus can afford a brush and ink. Or a bow and an arrow. Really? Or a guitar. I know a lot of working class people that can afford all three of those things. Time. I'm asking character traits. Archery is probably the best one. What character trait, precision, and what is needed for you to hit that target? Patience, really? The longer I hold this, the more patient I am, the longer I hold this. Thank you. Don't you see the sort of inner focus, the mind and the body being undivided, the concentration? The other three, horsemanship. Now this is a different one. Charioteering and horsemanship. What qualities does that either require or produce when you've mastered horses? Control of what? How many of you have ever climbed on a horse? Once, at least once. The first time you climbed on a horse, what was your feeling when they were saying, yeah, go ahead, get on? What was your feeling? Come on, quickly. Jesus freaking Christ, what was your feeling? Quickly. They're terrifying as hell. They're big, powerful animals that can put a hoof through your forehead and just clobber you. They're massively powerful animals. And when you get on them and they start, right? Terrifying. To master a horse is to master fear, is it not? Ritual mastery, meaning etiquette. And finally, math and astronomy, because these people are being trained to become public officials who need to be able to say, the heavenly bodies are there, it's time to plant. The heavenly bodies are there, it's time to sow, to reap, to harvest. If we plant a week early or a week late, we might not have a strong harvest. We need to know exactly what the heavens are doing when the agricultural seasons are correct. Math, we're collecting taxes. We're distributing grain during a famine. We're counting families, and we're saying how many we're doing division from the amount of grain we have. I'll leave you with this question. What are the Summer Olympic Games that most come to your mind? Write the question down because it's a fun one to play with. Notice we're talking about today now. What are the Asian Summer Olympic Games that Asians get most excited about? Tennis. Table tennis. Badminton. We're leaving out one, and the Koreans are really good at this one. Archery. What are the Westerners most excited about? Basketball. Soccer. If you've read the Iliad, you know that when Achilles' lover dies, they bury him and they have funeral games, basically Olympic games in the Iliad, to see, and whoever wins gets his armor and stuff. And wrestling, boxing matches. What's the difference between the sports of the Greeks and the sports of the Asians? Archery versus wrestling and boxing. What's the difference? Brute force versus inner calm, precision, focus. Table tennis. Good God, it's an amazing sport. Because you're just like, it's just me and you. It's amazing how fast and focused you have. Archery. You're not, this guy can be 10 times bigger than me and 10 times stronger than me. It doesn't matter. Because it's which one of us is calm enough, which one of us is focused enough, which one of us has the most control, right? East and West comparisons, on and on and on, I swear. I'll put your homework, it's the same thing. I won't see you next time, so see you next week. All right, thank you. Have a good weekend. Or week, or whatever I should say.